The purpose of this space is to create a very safe environment for people to share a moment of their lives.
Located one block north of St. Paul's Hospital, Downtown Denture Center features complete and partial teeth restoration options. With 35 years experience, Anthony Chung offers mobile services and emergency repair consultation 24 hours a day. Downtown Denture Center, just off Nelson at 970 Burrard in the lobby of the Electra Building.
My name is Fender Benavides from Drive Promoters in Quillam, serving the Filipino community for the past 4 years. Whether you're looking for a minivan, car, truck, SUV, or a crossover, guaranteed financing available. I am here to help. Salamat po.
Cowley & Company, car accident lawyers representing personal injury and disability victims in the Lower Mainland. A former chiropractor, Lee Cowley has more than 20 years' experience as an attorney in BC. Locations include Abbotsford and Burnaby, with a head office in Surrey, on 104 Avenue at 138th Street. Foodie World presents Philippine Street, featuring a large selection of Filipino foods, from imported non-perishable products to both packaged seafood and locally caught and very much alive. Foodie World is 75,000 square feet of worldly groceries situated in North Richmond.
All the stories that you're going to hear tonight are personal in nature, some of which can encroach on dark topics as addiction, abuse, self-harm, and you may get triggered by them. And if you do, there's a beautiful lounge to the back of XY that you can go down, chill out, get your composure. When you're ready, you can come and join us. Welcome, everyone. My name is Winston Young. I am your host tonight for another episode of Voice Story Live. We ask you to refrain from photography and video recording, but if you must take a picture or take a video, can you please do so without the flash? Because the speakers on stage are trying to hold it together hard enough already, and they don't need the distraction. Now, with that being said, I would ask that you put your phone in airplane mode right now, and that's purely because if you put it on silent mode, what happens is that in the back of your head, you're just trying to pay attention as to when it's going to actually vibrate. And you're not present for the people in the room, for the speakers, and most importantly, for yourself. So if you can do that, that would be great. I invite Shenan Charania to the stage to share his story.
I remember I was about 11 years old, and I went to school, and I was facing a deep culture shock, language shock. I dressed different, I talked different, I looked different. And everyone around me was responding the way they were responding, right? And I remember that I had this thought in my head that said, oh, I don't fit in. I should try and fit in. Now, I didn't know that was a thought. I took that to be real. And so began my journey of trying to fit in. But until then, I was a real simple young boy. In Kenya, I was a young, joyful, playful child, just like anybody else who's 7, 8, 9 years old. And when I got here, it seemed like things started to change for me. And so that was in grade 6. So by the time I got to grade 8, I experienced so much discomfort and so many challenges in school that I decided to just start skipping school because I couldn't see myself fitting in there. I couldn't see myself responding and experiencing the kind of joy or the kind of experiences that somebody gets dressed and goes to school for? Really, just to go to school. So by the time grade 8 came in, I started skipping school a lot, and I started hanging out with people that were skipping school as well. And later on, I find out that I was trying to fit in. I was just not trying to fit in with the school, right? I was looking for a sense of belonging. Somebody alluded to that earlier. And my life became one of confusion and looking for worth, looking for love, looking for things that I really didn't seem to give myself. So fast forward a little bit, I believed the thought that said, I need to fit in. I better look like I know what I'm doing. I better look like, likable. I better look like that. So I started forming this mask. And people seem to like the mask. People seem to respect the mask. So I made it into a costume, right? And I went along life because people started to like it. And I showed that one off because people started to like it. And so by grade 10, I was so full into that world that I pretty much dropped out of school, and I got involved in drugs, I got involved in gangs, and by the time I was 17, 18, I was full-blown into the gang-related world, so much so that drugs were an everyday part of life. It was ordinary in my world. You know how work is ordinary in your world? And my world today, thankfully. But drugs and gangs were ordinary in my world. Violence and crime was an ordinary piece. It was not something that was, oh my God, I'm doing this. It was the norm. And because it was the norm, I just sank deeper and deeper into it, right? Because that's the way of being that I knew. Now, that was an interesting phase of my life, and it was fun. It was exhilarating. And when you're 16, 17, 18 years old, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for something that's exhilarating, right? And I had fun with it until it started to get too serious. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's pretty serious itself. But by the time I was 18, 19, and 20, I got so deep into it. My friends started to die. They started to get shot, dead. Some went to jail. And I found myself really just stuck in this whirlwind of depression, anxiety, trapped and confused in a lifestyle that didn't have any joy, didn't have any happiness, didn't have any smiles. It was always about looking over my shoulder. And I couldn't fathom how I got into this. So as time moved on, I just thought to myself, well, this is it. This is my life. This is what I've made into it. And this is what I have to continue. There is no other way. It seems so impossible to get out of it, let alone do something after I get out of it. And my friend's fate really started to give me a reflection of that's what's going to happen to me. So in order to get rid of that, or in order to numb that, I just went back to drugs and alcohol. It wasn't until I was 23 years old, May 3rd, that I got a phone call that my parents' house was shot up, and they were inside. And my brother was inside. Everyone was inside. There were 6 shots fired in the home. And that was eye-opening for me. It jolted me awake in one way. But it jolted me awake in a way that I wouldn't expect, because I was now faced with a choice, right? I was faced with a choice that said, well, do you want to continue, or do you want to get out of this life? What I didn't see at that time was that was another thought. It was another thought popping into my head saying, do you want to continue, or do you want to get out of this life? It didn't matter who shot up the house or how they did it. It mattered how I got myself in this position. It mattered that my parents brought me here from Kenya to give me a better life, and I've gotten their house shut up. That's what mattered, right? So I was stuck in this whirlwind of shame and guilt. But that came after. That single night, I remember I was left in the bushes thinking, this is it, right? It's coming home. Like you're either going to end up with your friend, this guy, or are you either going to end up like your friend, this guy, jail or grave. Really, that's the only path. And I decided that night that I want out. I'm going to do nothing. Nobody was hurt. I'm not going to retaliate. I'm not going to do anything. So I did nothing, right? And that decision was my decision to get out of that life. Now, it took a long time for me to try and get away from that life because, you know, you can't just decide one night and walk away the next morning from that life. So it took years for me to get away from that life. But what was really interesting for me and what was fascinating to me that I later found out was that it was my thinking that got me in there. It wasn't anything else. It started with thinking. So as I moved through that life and I got a job here and there, and I started to, you know, become more civilized and play in the real world and try to behave the way other people are behaving. And that was a navigation in itself, trust me. And I just felt like I had to work so much harder than people, right? And surely, you know, I wasn't experienced in life. I was experienced in the underworld since 15 years of age, since I dropped out. So rightfully so, I had to learn everything again. And so I did. I went through that journey. And I remember when I was going through that journey, I was trying to hide my life. Oh, if anybody else finds out what I've done. No, they can't find out what I've done. So what I was doing was actually putting on another mask and building another costume, right? And all these emotions that were coming up, I was suppressing them. No, I don't want that. I can't have people find out what I do. I have to be this guy now. Now, what I didn't understand at that time was that's how the world looked to me, so that's how I was behaving. And as I started to progress in the real world, as you must know by now, you can't just push emotions away. They don't actually go anywhere. They come back up. So everything I was suppressing, everything I was repressing, it started to surface back up. And I was filled with the shame and guilt every day, and anxiety every day, and insecurity every day, and self-consciousness every single day. I remember going home to my mom's place and literally going inside the home and going right to the washroom and just crying on the floor in a fetal position every single day.
Located 1 block north of St. Paul's Hospital, Downtown Denture Center features complete and partial teeth restoration options. With 35 years experience, Anthony Chung offers mobile services and emergency repair consultation 24 hours a day. Downtown Denture Center, just off Nelson at 970 Burrard in the lobby of the Electra Building.
Cowley and Company, car accident lawyers representing personal injury and disability victims in the Lower Mainland. A former chiropractor, Lee Cowley has more than 20 years experience as an attorney in BC. Locations include Abbotsford and Burnaby, with a head office in Surrey, on 104 Avenue at 138th Street.
All the stories that you're going to hear tonight are personal in nature, some of which can encroach on dark topics as addiction, abuse, self-harm, and you may get triggered by them. And if you do, there's a beautiful lounge to the back of XY that you can go down, chill out, get your composure. When you're ready, you can come and join us.
I was putting on another costume. So what I meant by that was me getting into this civilized world, suppressing and repressing my own emotions, and just trying to fit in again, finding myself not belonging again, but realizing that I don't want to be in that life, so I tried to fit in again. And the emotions that were most powerful in my life that had a grip on me was guilt and shame. Because what was happening was I was waking up. I was waking up to the fact of what I've been doing to other people, right? And that's what filled me up with guilt and shame. And I remember going to my mom's house. This is where I was. I remember going to my mom's house and going right to the washroom every single day and curling up in a fetal position and crying for like half an hour every single day. That's how much pain there was. And I couldn't really understand it, you know. I was still too macho to express it. That's why I was in the washroom. But it started to catch on, right? It started to really show up in my life in different ways. And I started getting jobs here and there, trying to fit in. I got fired from many jobs because I didn't know how to behave. I ended up later on getting my own business, which I worked really hard for. It was a Tim Hortons. And I was really proud of myself for getting a Tim Hortons. I became a Tim Hortons owner. And it took a lot of hard work to get there. And then a couple years into ownership, I realized how much I don't like it, how much I'm unaligned to it, how much I'm missing happiness and joy again, how much fulfillment I'm missing. Now, I couldn't articulate this back then because it was just, I don't know, I don't want to be here. And after giving that up, it took a long battle to give it up, but I gave it up because I realized I was unaligned to it. And I started to really search for what would be fulfilling. And coaching, I was involved in coaching. I was getting coached at that time. So I started to see how much of a difference it made in my life. Because through that coaching that I was getting, it was really uncovering parts of me that I had never visited because I had no courage to do that on my own. So I did it with a coach. And it helped me. It helped me visit parts of me slowly, gently, uncover things that I wouldn't visit. And I started to really transform. And so coaching looked very attractive to me. To me, it looked like you have conversations with people, their lives change. I want to do this too. So I started looking into coaching. And after I gave the Tim Hortons up, I experimented with it. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. I spoke with people. I remember one of my first clients came to me after 3 months of us coaching together. And I asked her, what's the biggest difference that's happened between this relationship? What's the biggest insight that has occurred? What's changed? And she said to me, me and my sister didn't talk for 14 years because of some family fight. And now because of our coaching together, we're speaking again, we're having dinner, and the relationship is progressing. And I just started crying right there on the spot because that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that fulfillment piece. So I got into coaching. And I said, this is my thing. I'm falling in love with this fulfillment thing. I've been looking for this my entire life. And after I did that, I realized that I have a lot of healing to do still. I have to heal myself. I have to visit those old patterns, those old behaviors, the past actions that I did. So I started to get everything that I could. Inner child healing, positive thinking, therapy, positive psychology, and tried to experiment with everything. Now, all the things that I did, they helped me at the level that they did, right? Every single one of them. Akashic records, soul healing. They all helped me at the level that they did. And I realized that I was really being a victim to my circumstances. I was being a victim to my past. And I kept trying to get rid of it. I kept trying to fix it. I wanted to be free from my past. But it wasn't happening. The best I got was that I wouldn't project my past into my future. I wouldn't define myself by my past. And that was helpful, like I said. And then in 2015, late 2015, I ran into this understanding called the 3 Principles by a man named Sydney Banks. And basically, the 3 Principles talks about there is a divine mind, divine consciousness, and divine thought. And those are the 3 principles that operate in our lives, in every human being's life. That's how experience is shaped. Now, when I ran into this, I was looking for another modality to fix myself. I was looking for another method to help my clients. I wasn't looking for freedom. I wasn't looking for it at all. By this time, I had kind of talked myself into well, you know what? You've done some pretty bad things. You're pretty damaged at this level. So you have to do the best you can with the level you got. Because that's how damaged you are. There's nothing going to give you that freedom that you had as a 3-year-old, as a 7-year-old. And so when I ran into this understanding, I was just trying to get a grasp of it. And things shifted for me dramatically that I wouldn't expect. What this understanding pointed to give you some context, it pointed to the fact that I was actually experiencing my thinking, and I wasn't experiencing the outside world at any given moment, at any time of my life. I was only experiencing my thinking. And what I was doing was I was responding to the thinking I'm having, not to the circumstance. And it started to make sense to me, because as a child I was bullied. Well, so was everyone else. How come they didn't react the way I did? Because I had thinking about the bullying that was going on, and I started reacting to the thinking. I didn't see that before. I thought I was reacting to the circumstance. And then it also showed me that I had a thought, like I said earlier, when I was 12, 13, 14, that said, I should get something together here to make myself look good. I should put on a mask. I should put on a costume. Well, that was just a thought. I didn't have to believe it, but I believed it, and therefore shaped my life. See, until that point, I didn't see that. I thought I was reacting to the people in front of me. I was actually reacting to the thinking about the people. I couldn't see it. So I carried on, and I started getting deeper into this understanding. And the more deeper I got, the more I experienced that, oh my God, every single experience I'm having, I'm actually reacting to my thinking. I'm not reacting to the person, place, or thing. And what this did for me is opened up freedom, something I wasn't expecting, something I had already written off at some level. And it started to give me freedom that everything is possible. It's just my thinking that I'm reacting to. Right? So before then, it was more about this I can't do because I have a grade 10 education. That I can't do because I was a gangster in the past. That and that I can do. So my world was a little bit smaller. Well, this understanding kind of pointed me to no, you're reacting to your thinking. You can really do anything you want. So all this clarity and freedom started to come into my life. And I was loving it because it started to open me up. It started to bring more joy. It started to bring less thinking and less reactions. And it was so beautiful because I sat in a really good feeling at that moment. And one of the most important insights I got, which really shook my world, was, you know, if I didn't believe that thought, if I knew this back then, I wouldn't have believed the thought. I would have saved 10 years of being in a gang-related world. Oh my God, my friends would have been alive if they knew it was just thought. And the other friend wouldn't have gone to jail if they knew it was just thought. They didn't have to act on the thought. They could have just let the thought pass. They believed the thought. And I sat there and cried for hours. And then I got an insight. Well, if I can't change my past and my friend's past, then the next best thing to do is to bring this out into the world of youth and help them see their potential, their thinking, and how they can react to their thinking in a positive and healthy way. And how you react to your thinking shapes your life. Now, for me, I tried to heal myself not knowing that all the feelings that I was bringing way after that life was over didn't actually exist. They only existed in memories. So I was continuously, every day, trying to fix a memory. I was continuously trying to fix a past that didn't exist. It was just my thinking I was bringing in the moment. And when I realized this, it was quick freedom. I didn't have to heal myself. I just had to identify and recognize what is thinking, what is real. And so I'm trying to bring this to every one of my clients, and I'm working with youth now, youth at risk, to help them see that they have a choice in how they respond to their thoughts, that we all have this gift of thought, and how we shape our life really depends on how you use your gift of thought or misuse your gift of thought. Thank you.
Models are on display at Freeway Mazda. New Mazda sedans, crossovers, and SUVs surround the facility, and fully loaded versions occupy the floor of the showroom. At Freeway Mazda, 154th Street and 104 Avenue in Surrey. Located 1 block north of St. Paul's Hospital, downtown Denture Center features complete and partial teeth restoration options. With 35 years experience, Anthony Chung offers mobile services and emergency repair consultation 24 hours a day. Downtown Denture Center, just off Nelson at 970 Burrard in the lobby of the Electra Building.
Cowley and Company, car accident lawyers representing personal injury and disability victims in the Lower Mainland. A former chiropractor, Lee Cowley has more than 20 years experience as an attorney in BC. Locations include Abbotsford and Burnaby, with a head office in Surrey, on 104 Avenue at 138th Street.
Foodie World presents Philippine Street, featuring a large selection of Filipino foods. From imported non-perishable products to both packaged seafood and locally caught and very much alive. Foodie World is 75,000 square feet of worldly groceries situated in North Richmond.
My name is Fender Benavides from Drive Promoters in Quillam, serving the Filipino community for the past 4 years. Whether you're looking for a minivan, car, truck, SUV, or a crossover, guaranteed financing available. I am here to help. Salamat po.